One of the best in
But
today's
to
game.
me, he's not a superstar point guard on the level of Curry, Luka,
Tier
Trey,
2, though. Tier
Ja,
2.
but he's in tier two. But my issue is that there's
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Sports Podcast Channel, episode number 7. Hope y'all enjoyed the guest podcast with episode number 6. Brendan definitely had some interesting takes there, Sam, if
he
I'm not
definitely brought
mistaken.
some spice all the way from
So,
Hawaii.
let's hope you all enjoyed that. Today we have an interesting topic to talk about. The ESPN top 100 players in the NBA list came out over the last few weeks. They released it time by time, like set by set players, and there's a lot of controversy over this list.
It's
So
garbage.
today we are going to look over that and literally flame this hot piece of garbage that ESPN put out. ESPN, come on now, Chief. You can't put out something like this and expect everybody to agree.
I mean, obviously not, but there are some takes that are quite atrocious that I don't really agree on.
Yeah.
Okay, so starting with and this is, by the way, this is their predictions. This will be their best players of 2022, 2023. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not a review of the previous year. This is, I guess, what they think is going to happen next year. So starting off, they have Bogdanovich at number 100.
I don't know.
I'm a
I don't know
Hawks
how.
fan, and I disagree with this take.
I
He's
don't know.
not that good.
I think there's definitely somebody better than Bogdanovich.
I think there's someone on the Hawks who I don't think is on this list. I think is better than him, and that's DeAndre Hunter. I mean, he's going to
Hunter,
be coming off the
yeah.
bench this year.
But in the
He just
playoffs against the Heat, he showed what he could bring to the table, especially in games at 3, 4, and 5. He showed like he can be that guy at times. So
who Bogdanovich or Hunter?
Hunter.
Yeah, Hunter. And Hunter also brings so much more on defense than Bogdanovich. And also he's younger. Bogdanovich, has struggled with knee injuries a lot. He's not that much older, but just the knee injuries really take him out a lot of the time and they just make him weaker like when he is on the court. And so I just think that DeAndre Hunter is more athletic. He is stronger, which allows him to be able to create inside a bit more. And he's a better defender. I think Bogdanovich is a better shooter, but DeAndre Hunter's not a bad shooter. He can get a bucket. And neither of them are really creating off the dribble as much as we need them to anyway. So I don't think that really matters. And there's a reason that Hunter is starting over Bogdanovich, obviously. So I think Hunter is better, but that's just my take.
I also agree. I think Hunter is better than Bogdanovich. So I think Hunter should be the 100 spot, not Bogdanovich.
Okay, we got Grant Williams over Bogdanovich. He was good in the playoffs. I think that's fair.
Yep.
He's coming off the bench, but he's a really valuable piece off the bench for Boston. Kind of like
He's
backup
a
Al
great
Horford.
he's a great defensive value to the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, him plus Al Horford, I think, was the best combination to try and stop Giannis that the Celtics had with
Yeah.
actually relative success, I think, considering that it is Giannis that they're trying to stop. So yeah, I like Grant Williams actually. All right, number 98, they have Mitchell Robinson.
Not bad. Not bad.
He's good.
I think
Yeah.
I think that's a solid start there.
I'm not sure why he fell from his rank last year.
He
I guess
was
maybe
he
they were
was
really high on him last year and he was just okay again. He's
like
good. He's young.
I think a lot of players have like these huge expectations that is set on them, and when they don't reach those expectations, it brings their value down. Like Jason Tatum, for example, like great throughout the playoffs, right? You know, like
Right.
elimination games, he was great. Expectations for him in the finals,
Got a little carried
be
away.
him, and win it. That was his expectation. But what happened? Like Sam said, he got carried away from it. He didn't do his best. And I've stated this before, and I'll state it again.
So
Big
young.
time moments with big time players, some players do come up short. LeBron in 2013 or LeBron in 2011 Giannis in 2019, Steph in 2016, KD in 2016. Like big time players come up short. It's not something new. It's not unusual. This is not only for NBA. You can take this for the NFL, the NHL, the MLB. Like big time players do come up short at times. Like Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl against the Bucks. A huge expectation for him to go back to back, and yet he dwindled down to this player that we all look at and say, "Hey, this was not his best game." There's been moments where big players have not put up to that stage. Will
Right.
Jason Tatum get a chance to go back to the finals and win it once and for all? He will. He's so young. He's only 19. That's a joke.
Right.
He's only 19. So like he has time to win.
Only
So
19, but his mind is older.
exactly. He's yeah.
Anyway, that being said, Mitchell Robinson is not going to be a big player.
No.
He's a New York Knick, and with the volume of shots that people like Julius Randle,
New
RJ
York
Barrett
mid.
take, he's not gonna get a lot of shots. Okay, next we have Kevin Love, who is frankly a dinosaur, and I don't think he's better than Mitchell Robinson at this point, or I don't think he will be next year. He's still good for his age, but Mitchell Robinson's younger and like actually starts. Okay, then they have Seth Curry on the Nets. I think Seth Curry being here is good. Because I think he will get a lot of shots with Ben Simmons being the point guard because Ben Simmons is gonna need to kick a lot since he doesn't really shoot. So yeah, he'll be good. Keegan Murray, a rookie. I don't know why they have him on this list. It's kind of weird to predict. That's just so unpredictable. I'm not gonna be mad if they get any of the rookies wrong. Brandon Clark, he's good. Okay, and then we have a series of three players who all have one similar flaw. See if you can figure it out. D'Angelo Russell, Christian Wood, and Anthony Simons.
Okay, I'm thinking of two here. They're both defensively bad, and they're both undersized for their position.
They're all defensively bad. I don't think D'Lo is undersized, but Christian Wood and Anthony Simons are undersized for
Yeah.
sure, and they all suck. I mean, D'Lo had to get benched in the playoffs. Oh, that's so embarrassing. That being said, I think they'll be good.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think Anthony Simons will be definitely a step above Christian Wood and D'Lo, just because
Hmm.
he's going to be the second option offensively, whereas Christian Wood and D'Lo, Christian will be the second option, but for Luca, who is so big of an option, that second option is like this. And then D'Angelo Russell is out of the big three now that they have Gobert. So I don't think either of those two will be quite as important as Anthony Simons will be for his team. So I would maybe either bump those two down or bump Simons up.
Hmm.
And then Josh Giddey, low-key
Hmm.
underrated. I mean,
Yeah,
I see some of the
definitely.
guys up here they have above him, like Karis LeVert, Dylan Brooks, even Capella. I think Josh Giddey's going to play a much more important role than someone like Karis LeVert or Dylan Brooks. Not saying those players aren't important, but they're not exactly one of your main options where I think Josh Giddey is for this Thunder team. So I think I'd put him higher.
Hmm.
Then you got Karis. He's going to be coming off the bench, I think.
Hmm.
So I don't know if I'd have him that high. Then Capella. Definitely
Clinton
an
Capella.
underrated setter when he's healthy, but I think him and Valanciunas should be around the same, and I think they both should be higher. Then here's one, Lonzo.
What
Thoughts?
is this?
78.
Honestly, I think that's a little bit too. I think that's a little bit low. When he was healthy, that Bulls team was definitely a top team in the East, and like him,
Right.
um, DeMar DeRozan, and you could say their three is Caruso or you could say Caruso.
Zach
Um,
Levine, I think.
Zach Levine was their third. Like that
But
top three was really
right.
good.
I think
So I
DeMar and
think,
Levine are your stars, but I think Lonzo and Caruso are so important to that team winning because of their defense that I think his impact is understated. But that being said, I do see why they've moved him so low, just because he hasn't been able to get over a seemingly an injury that they thought he would be able to get over quickly. So like it's really unclear how much he's going to play this year. And that takes away from his overall impact on the season. So I could see
mhm,
why he's this low. Because when he does play, he should be higher, but who knows when he plays? He's injured all the time.
mhm.
Okay, then you got Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks is
That's
good.
honestly that's good. That's a
Understated.
solid,
His impact for the team is understated. I think every Grizzly who isn't named John Morant is a little underrated,
of
and every
course.
Grizzly named John Morant's a little overrated. Because yes, Jaw's the star, but the team is just as good without him on the floor. I mean, the biggest win again in that Warriors series was when Ja was hurt because they destroyed the Warriors. Now you could say that the Warriors weren't playing as well that game, but still, the margin was crazy. And so I think every player on the Grizzlies, I think especially like some of your wings are so important to the success. It's not just Ja. Okay, here's a
Hmm.
controversial one. Number 76, Ben Simmons.
Oh, I don't know why he's on the list. I don't think he should be on the list. That's just me personally.
Well,
I don't
he's
think
gonna
he should be
play
on the
next
list.
season, and when he does play, he's really good. You don't think he should be on the list at all? That's crazy, bro. He's like a when he's healthy, he's like a top 30 player. You're talking about an all NBA, all defensive guy right here. You're talking about an all-star.
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah,
Maybe
you're
not all
right, you're
NBA,
right.
but all defense and
All-star, yeah.
all-star, who is
Uh,
still young. We haven't even seen the best of Ben Simmons probably.
yeah.
And apparently he's gonna shoot more now. Like he doesn't even have to shoot. He's got Seth Curry, he's got Joe Harris, he's got Kyrie. He
All
just
right, yeah,
needs to
you're
be a
right, you're right.
6'11 point guard.
You're right, you're right. My bad, my bad, my bad. That was a bad take on me.
I
Bad
mean, he
take
did
on
get
me.
spooked by Trey Young, which is
He
silly. But I mean,
did, he
he's
did.
still young. He can grow as a guy.
You're right.
And even that one play doesn't define his whole career, even though it kind of seems like it right now. So,
On unless he gets on that field or whoa, field. Unless he gets on that court and actually shows and proves that hey, I can do this and like I am that guy. I think 76 is too little, too low for him. I think he should be higher.
right, yeah, he should be hard if he's able to prove that. I think he will. I mean, he's ranked 28 last year. So
Mm-hmm.
I think ranking him in the top 30 again, I would be, bold, but I think you can back that up. I think it's more justifiable than having him this low because right now you have OG Anunoby above him. Great 3-and-D, not better. Harrison Barnes, underrated, not better than Ben Simmons. John Collins, I've beef with this for multiple reasons. You want to know why?
Why?
Okay, well, one, he's definitely not better than Ben Simmons. Two, I'm under the impression that Capella does more for our team than John Collins. Like watching the games we play, like having Capella out of the rotation makes me more nervous than having Collins out of the rotation. I
Collins is
mean, you
also
have
short.
Onyeka. Yeah.
Also, Collins is undersized for that power forward position.
I don't know, and he does a lot of the power forward position. He's really able to stretch with his corner 3-point shooting, but Capella is so central to our defense, which we have so very little of. We just really need to hold on to that little Clint Capella piece. So
Well, you
I
got DeJounte
for his
Murray, so
impact,
that's
yeah,
another
well
piece of the
now, yeah, but Capella is still very important because
puzzle.
he's the one holding down the paint. Okay, then you got Michael Porter Jr. See, this is an issue because he was also injured, but you're putting him higher than Ben Simmons. And so tell me, when both of these guys were healthy, was Michael Porter Jr. as good as Ben Simmons? Were they even in the same conversation?
No,
No. Like
they
Michael Porter
weren't.
Jr. is good and he's shown potential, right?
Yeah,
But Ben Simmons has shown more than potential. He's shown he can actually be good, and then some. He still has potential. And these guys
hmm
have both been hurt. So I don't understand why you're holding that more against Ben Simmons than you're holding that against Michael Porter Jr. Because clearly Ben Simmons is the better player. I mean, they both
you're
have,
right.
enormous prospects. It's all this like weird narrative, bro. The narrative against Ben Simmons is so bad. And, I also hate on him, but not to this extent. And then you have Julius Randle.
I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, this list is really weird. Do you want to get into
They have
juicy stuff?
Spencer. They have Spencer Dinwiddie above Julius Randle. Um, like I'm a Julius Randle hater, but that's kind of nasty. Okay, I'm looking through. They've got Jalen Brunson at 76. They've got or 67. That's crazy. Oh, Russell Westbrook at 65. What do we think about this?
L take, L take,
What do you
L
think?
take.
Some
Huge
of these players
L.
over Russell Westbrook. Let me just name a few that they have just immediately above him.
All right,
Jeremy Grant,
L.
RJ Barrett.
L.
Bro, what does RJ Barrett do better than Russell
L.
Westbrook?
L. L.
I'm
L.
confused
L.
because like
L
Russell
take.
Westbrook
L
at his
take.
worst is RJ Barrett. You see what I'm saying here? We just hold him to a different standard.
Exactly.
Jalen Green,
RJ Barrett is Russell Westbrook's worst version.
right? I mean, this is
Like
a
you
projection
said.
for next season, so yes, everyone thinks RJ is going to have this huge leap, but also Westbrook's going to have to fix his game. Like this is a do or die moment. Either you fix it or the GM gets rid of you. So like, I mean, they're
Yeah,
not legit. They're not going to not even Legion. They're not going to resign you if you're not good because you're taking up a huge contract space and you're blowing up the team. Ridiculous. Okay, they have Kyle Lowry. What? He's old and washed.
yeah. I don't know why Cal Lowry's this high on this list.
Okay, and then here's another thing. They
Hey,
have
hey, hey! Cal Lowry does have a dump truck, though.
yeah, points for thickness, I guess. Okay, then
Yeah,
they have Nikola Vucevic over Robert Williams.
over Williams.
Yeah, Robert Williams. Isn't that strange? Because
Why?
the way I see it, Vucevic actively is making his team worse. Like he's a
Worse.
liability,
Yes,
and
on
Robert Williams
defense.
is one of the most important parts to the Celtics winning. Like I was looking at some advanced stats earlier today. Robert Williams is in for players who actually play, because there are outliers of players who have played like 1 or 2 games. For players who have actually played more than like say 600 minutes in a season, he's in like the top 10 in defensive rating and the top 20 in offensive rating. He is so efficient on both ends of the floor, and he is so important to their defense. I mean, he had a huge impact in the finals against the Warriors while injured, mind you. And I can see that injuries, do take him a step back. But even when he was injured, he was blocking Curry on threes. Like he's causing problems
What I'm
for the entire Warriors roster. And I think Vucevic is causing problems for the Bulls roster, the team that he's on. What about okay, do you think Jarrett Allen's better than Rob?
I'm gonna say yes, but only because of experience. Robert Williams is young. Jared Allen is in the middle of his career.
Well, Jarrett Allen's young too, but I think he's started more. I think they're pretty similar. Just I think Robert Williams has seen more success because his team's a little better, a little more experienced. But I think Jarrett Allen can make. I think Jarrett Allen will be better this year.
Especially
Being
if that Cavs roster, Jared Allen will definitely be better. But
especially because he's going to be the focus of two players who are good in the pick and roll, which is Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell are both
Donovan
exceptional in the
Mitchell.
pick and roll. And I think Mobley will share some of that, but Jarrett Allen's the true center, whereas Mobley's playing a huge power forward. They got Ayton at 51. What do you think?
Defensively, Aiton is really good. Not really good. Defensively, Aiton is a solid defensive center. Offensively, I don't know if he deserves that 51 spot.
Well, I think the only reason he isn't talked about offensively is because the Suns have done a bad job working him into the offense. I feel like he was such an important part of their finals run, but because you have Booker and Paul, who are both good high volume scorers,
Shooters, yeah.
A lot of the other Suns get neglected, and that's fine because most of the other Suns are really good role players and are able to thrive that way. But Aiton would thrive with the ball a lot. I mean, he's one of the best. I think he's probably one of the best traditional centers we have left in the NBA, who's not like a
My
shooter. You have Kyrie at 33. Ooh, thoughts? Too high or too low?
too low for me.
Yeah, I mean his skill set is definitely top 20, but just like the negative impact he has on a locker room is so like that's part of
Yeah.
basketball too, and he really brings down a team sometimes. So it just depends on his attitude and like what are we gonna get from Kyrie off the court? Because we know what we'll get on the court, but how much on the court will we get from him, and what's he gonna be like in that locker room environment? So I think it's fair to have someone like Wiggins over him. Here's my take. I think it's fair to have Wiggins over Kyrie because Wiggins is humble and
Hmm.
he brings so much nit and grit to the team, and he does those things that superstars don't want to do. He has those moments of hustles that superstars who are working the whole game can't get. He really is like the perfect role player. He's the perfect role player for Curry because he's able to do the nitty gritty things that Curry can't do with his size. He's able to clean up Curry's mess when Curry makes a mess, and he's able to step up in moments when Curry's getting locked down. And we really saw that in the finals. So that's why I think it's fair to have Andrew Wiggins there. I don't think we'll necessarily see an improvement from him, though.
Hmm.
Okay, and then Chris Middleton. You're a Chris Middleton fan. What do you think? 32. Above Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, above Darius Garland.
Too. It's a mid pick. I'm gonna say mid on this one. I won't say
Mid.
too high. Mid, like, it's a mid pick.
It's
Okay.
not necessarily too high, but they're like top 40 does seem reasonable for Chris Middleton because he has been an all-star. But
He's a top 10.
I think there are
He's
guys that they have below him who I think will probably be above him this season. And that's not a disrespect to Chris Middleton. That's just how talented the league is right now, I think. They got
Mhm.
Siakam at 30. I think Siakam is better than people think.
Yes, he's
But there
definitely
are a
better
lot
than
of,
people
it's
think.
very stacked up here. Then Ingram, fair. Then DeMar, then Zach LaVine above DeMar. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I think DeMar's better than Zach LaVine this season and last season.
Then Drew Holiday.
I think that's a good pick. I think that's a
Yeah,
good pick. He's
me too.
definitely a huge, not a huge. He's definitely a better defender than Marcus Smart. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna say huge because the gap is not that
his
big,
his
but
impact is very crazy.
exactly when he's hot in the three, he's lights out. Not lights out, but he's good in the three. When he's
His
hot
field goal
on
percentage,
offense,
his 3-point percentage is remarkable. It'll surprise a lot of people because it's above 40 and it has been consistently. And you think of him, you don't think of a good shooter, but he's
and
consistent, which
on
is what
defense,
matters.
don't even get me started on
Of
defense.
course, a
Like,
legendary defender.
yeah, one of the best in
But
today's game.
to me, he's not a superstar point guard on the level of Curry, Luca,
Tier
Trey,
two though, tier
Ja,
two.
but he's in tier two. But my issue is that there's a separation in tier two where is he's here, but I also think that some of the younger point guards who are more offensive oriented, like LaMelo, like Darius, like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, are not being held there with him, and that tier three point guards like Cade Cunningham are being put above some of those tier two point guards. So I think move some of those point guards into the tier Drew Holiday, move Cade, move Marcus Smart down. Kyrie is a wild card. I don't know what to do with him.
I
So I
think
respect you.
tier one point guard wise, you got Steph, Luca, Trey, Ja, uh, who else? Like
Kyrie sometimes, and then
Kyrie,
Dame.
Dame, right? Tier two, you could
Dame when he's
say
not hurt, and Kyrie
when
is
he's not
just
on his
such a it's
antics.
such a variable. He's such a variable player.
And then tier two, you could say Drew Holiday, Chris Paul. I wouldn't say Chris Paul's tier one because he's old, but he's definitely a solid point guard. I'd say Chris
Right.
Paul
And they have him way
tier
above
two.
Holiday, whereas I think again it's close because he
hmm
can be really good. And I think in the regular season he is good. He led, but sometimes in big moments, in big series, he is asked to step up, but he can only do that so much because he gets tired, he gets injured. And that's just he can't control that. That's just his body. He's a smaller point guard. He's getting banged around down there. So yeah, he's getting banged around. Chris Paul can only take so much.
Okay, okay. Now let's move into our top 25.
Okay.
Definitely a
Okay, so at the
controversial
bottom of the
one.
top 25, we got Ant.
Not bad. Okay, solid pick.
Above him, Donovan Mitchell. You agree with that?
Solid. Yep.
I think Donovan Mitchell's going to get more volume than him just because he's splitting with Cat. Okay, then Bam.
Good. Good pick.
But then they have Jaylen Brown over Bam. You think Jaylen Brown's better than Bam?
No.
I think it's really close because Jaylen Brown has really stepped up, and I think watching the preseason, he has continued to work on his game. But I think Bam's impact is understated. Just I wish he was more of an offensive weapon. So I'm not
Mhm.
mad at it. Then Chris Paul above them. I love
Once
Chris
again,
Paul.
like
It's just like
your
he's
take.
taking a step down. I think you can move these players who are taking a step up over him, like Bam and Jalen. I wouldn't be that mad if you had him over Donovan Mitchell and Ant. But again, I would want to see him in the same tier as Darius Garland and Drew Holiday.
hmm
Okay, 20 Ant. Anthony Davis, AD.
When healthy, AD is definitely a top 20 player. When healthy. But
Such a
injuries
variable.
again, injuries. Like if he's not injured, Ant is definitely that guy on the Lakers. If he's
Right.
when he's injured, he's out, he's injury prone. I think that's a good pick, but again, like you said, it's a variable.
Because like it's so variable because he could be lower or he could be even higher than LeBron because I think LeBron, as he gets older, is going to want to see Anthony Davis take most of the load of the responsibilities on the team, and that LeBron's going to more want to feed
yeah,
into that, and
yeah,
LeBron
yeah,
being rated more as a playmaker and a point guard than as your primary scoring option,
yeah.
which I think he obviously fits into well. Okay, 19 Bradley Beal, too high, in my
Too high.
opinion.
Yeah.
I think Jaylen Brown needs to go over him. I think Bam needs to go over him, maybe even Donovan Mitchell.
Okay.
Okay, then 18 Gobert.
Okay.
I'm fine with it.
Fine.
I think AD could be above him, but again, it depends on injury. Okay, 17 Jimmy Butler.
Why
Okay,
so low? I'm sorry, but why
stop.
so
Why?
low?
Why? why are we disrespecting Jimmy Butler like this? Like
Why are we
why are we
discrediting
acting
him?
like he's not the best shooting guard in the league or
He's
small
a
forward? Why are
small
we acting like
forward.
he's not one of the best small forwards?
Stop discrediting Jimmy Buckets.
It's
Jimmy
actually
Buckets.
horrendous, dude. It's so bad.
Stop.
Oh
Stop with
God,
this. Like, please, for the love of everybody in this NBA community, stop playing with Jimmy Buckets. Because he
bro,
will give you buckets. He will give you buckets.
it's crazy because like I'm looking at the names of the players above him. I'm seeing Carl Anthony Towns. I'm seeing like Devin Booker. I'm seeing like I'm hesitant to put Jason Tatum over him just because the impact that Jimmy Butler he always shows up, and part of that you can't discredit the young guys when they have a fluke, have a bad game, bad series.
Mm-hmm.
They're still young, but Jimmy always he shows up in the playoffs. A lot of these guys we're looking at, I'm seeing a regular season ass performances. Jimmy Butler, what he's concerned about is helping his team grow during the regular season, is making his players better. But then when it's time to show up, this is not learning time anymore, kids. Jimmy Butler becomes their dad. He carries them, okay? And he takes the other team to school. I mean, I hate to say it. I watching the Hawks series, I was like, is this Jimmy Butler or like Michael Jordan? What's happening here?
Michael
Right?
Jordan's long lost son.
Yeah, that's another weird theory. But yeah, I just think Jimmy Butler needs to be a top 10 player. I've said that. I've said this before. He's a top 10 player because
In
he
my
shows up
top
when it
10 players
matters.
list, I had Jimmy Buckets in my top 10.
I
Most
had Jimmy
people are
Buckets in my top 10
most people are scared to put Jimmy Buckets in their top 10, but Jimmy Buckets will give you buckets any single game. And I'm done with
just
that
when he
take.
needs he because when it's a man's game, he's a man. But like what I'm saying is people hold it against him that he isn't as good in the regular season, but he shows up in the playoffs, and you guys don't hold that against Kawhi, who sits half the regular season, but he's an amazing playoff performer. So why aren't we treating Kawhi the same way we're treating Jimmy Butler? Just because Kawhi's that guy who has 2 championships? I mean, yes, Kawhi's better, but we should look at the regular season versus playoff differential the same with Kawhi as we do with Jimmy Butler. So to not have Jimmy Butler in your top 15, I mean, he's not even in the top 10. I like him in the top 10, but he's not even top 15 on this list.
He's
I just
17.
really
That's
don't think
crazy.
I'm just not gonna be impressed with all these people that you're naming now because
All
you have
right,
Jimmy
what's
Butler at 17,
16?
ESPN. 16 is Trae Young.
Okay. Once
Dude,
again, why so
it's
low?
bizarre to me. I
Why
mean,
so
I'm a
low?
Hawks fan, so I might be biased.
Why?
Trigger
No,
might be
no,
more
no.
ready to accept this. But
Why?
like
Why? No, 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 no. Why so low? Why 16? He's
because
definitely a top 12, top 10,
you're looking at the
arguably
man
top 10 player.
and maybe he didn't average the most points per game, but he was very close. Maybe he didn't average the most assists per game, but he was very close. And you know what he did do? He had the most total points and the most total assists, meaning he was on the floor. He was the reason the Atlanta Hawks were even in the playoffs. What is that Hawks team without him? Garbage.
Nothing. Nothing.
Historically garbage.
Yeah.
Really, really bad. And it's not
Yeah.
it's not because the guys aren't
Yeah.
talented, just nobody else is creating offense. He is
No.
the sole engine on that team.
Yep.
Everyone else needs to catch the ball and shoot it or catch a lob. And you know who's throwing those passes to catch? Trae
Hey,
Young.
Young.
He has one of the highest assist percentages. And it's people are acting like he's this crazy inefficient player. Yes, he sucks on defense, but he's also 6 foot. Okay? We're not holding that against CP0 to the same extent we're holding that against Trae, but we have to look at it that way. And yes,
CP
I would like to
choke.
see him step up. But on offense, the advanced stats do love him a lot. Not as much as they love Jokic, but they love him. So I don't know why we're acting like he's this crazy inefficient player.
Who's meat writing ESPN? I want to know, bro. Who's ESPN meat writing here? Because this
Carl
list is
Anthony Towns.
crazy.
Okay, 15, Paul George. He's a
Okay.
top 15 player. I think that's
Yeah.
when he's available. Sometimes he hasn't shown up in big moments, but I mean, you're just looking at like the size of a guy at his position
He's like a
and
6'9" Kyrie. Honestly,
the
Kyrie's
the
handles.
way the way he's able to handle and play at the size that he is, it's like KD-esque. It's very
The way
good.
he's able to handle these balls is insane to me.
14 Dame. Again, I've said so many times that Trae Young is better than Dame, and I feel like nobody listens. And there's just nothing I think that Damian Lillard does better than Trae Young. You could say he's a better shooter, but that is incremental at
That's like
best.
this much. All right, who's 13, 12, and 10 or
13,
11?
Karl Anthony Towns. There are so many players on this list who are better than Karl Anthony Towns, and Jimmy Butler is the most atrociously snubbed here,
Okay,
followed
12.
closely by Trey. 12 is Kawhi.
Okay,
You could put him in top 10. He just doesn't
no,
play a lot, but he'll
no.
show up when it matters, which is the same thing I'm talking about with Jimmy Butler. But Jimmy Butler, even if he doesn't perform in the regular season as much, he does show up
I'm
to
like
the
pissed
games.
now. I like me personally. I haven't seen this top 10 list yet, so this is my first time hearing this top 10 list. Like I haven't looked at it, so if this is atrocious, Sam, I'm gonna rage.
Okay, 11, James Harden. What do we think? Because I feel like he has way more to prove than some of the players they've put below
Why
him.
11? Switch Butler. Okay, honestly, switch Butler and Harden, and I'm half
Yes.
okay. Half okay.
Yeah, I'm
Harden at
feeling better.
17, Butler at 11. I'm totally fine with that. Put Butler top 10 or 11
Because we're
because
acting like this is we're like right now we're acting like this is James Harden. It's like, oh yeah, maybe he fell off a little bit from 2018. The last 3 years, Jimmy Butler has been amazing. The last 3 years, Trey Young has been amazing.
last
The
3 years,
last
Jim Harden's been mid,
James Harden has
very
been
mid.
fat the last 3 years. He's been McDonald's Harden, bro, on purpose. And I
Mick
mean, yes, he was
Harden's.
good for a stint on Brooklyn. That's 1 year, less than 1 year. Whereas we're talking about full years of Jimmy, Trey, even Paul George to an extent. I just think he has more to prove. Like, I just don't think he deserves his number 11 spot as much as some of the other players. And then above that, we have Devin Booker.
At 10?
Excuse
At
me.
10?
Tell me how is Devin Booker impacting winning more than Jimmy
You know,
Butler?
do you know how
Because
many
yes,
points
his team
Devin
is number
Booker?
one, but what was his team before Chris Paul? Because I
Look,
remember them being the worst team in the league when he was there.
listen, Sam. You know how many points Devin Booker had in his Game 7 against Luka?
Less
10
than Cam
points.
Johnson, and Cam Johnson had 12.
Devin Booker had 10 points.
Oh my god, bro.
He should not be ranked
Dude.
number 10. Oh my goodness. All
Again,
right,
it's
who's
one
9?
game. Again, it's one game, but I'm just saying Jimmy Butler didn't have one game. So
9.
9, Ja Morant. Oh god, dude. God.
Ja's not top 10. He's outside. He's outside looking in. I'm telling you, this list is horrible.
If there's a higher power in this world, they're letting ESPN get away with a lot of sins, bro. I just see so many point guards here that are better than Ja Morant, bro. Starting with Trey
Oh!
Young, obviously, and I'd also say Dame. I mean,
All
just
right, number
honestly,
8.
even Chris Paul, I think.
Number
No,
8.
I'm not being crazy. Okay, number 8, KD.
Okay.
It's fine. I
Yeah.
think you could put him higher, but I'm not like the biggest Kevin Durant fan. And they had him at number 1 last year, which is blasphemous because he should try harder on defense and he should get
Oh,
his hair
all
fixed.
right.
Like he's just looking kind of washed sometimes. Okay, 7, JT. That's kind of weird to have him above Kevin Durant. It's also kind of
Over
weird to have him against Jimmy.
JT over Jimmy?
I feel like Jimmy was more
Ah,
impactful on that series when they literally played each other than JT was. Like
okay.
I feel like if Jimmy had Jaylen Brown, he would have won that series. But maybe I'm nitpicking.
Who's 6? This better not be James. If this LeBron James, I'm actually gonna throw a fit.
It is LeBron James.
Whoa! At 6?
Okay. But it is reasonable because he's getting older, and you're dissing someone if you put them outside the top 5. Because low-key, it isn't fair to put Embiid outside the top 5 when he was number 2 in MVP voting.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. But LeBron at 6?
I mean, it is crazy to think that he's not a top 5 player in the league, but I think that is one, he's just older at this point. He's getting older, and I think he's going to be willing to take a step back when AD's in the lineup. I think right now he cares more about winning because we already know he's put up legendary stats, and he doesn't really need that much to pass Kareem, so he doesn't need to score 30 a game. Okay. And so I think he's going to be focusing more as a playmaker. And also, he is getting older, and it's really showing with his defense. So I think if he wants to be able to contribute on both sides of the floor, he's going to need to let other players take shots. Hopefully not Russ. Hopefully
All right,
AD.
before you get into top 5, let me try to guess because I haven't seen the top 5 list. So
All right, let's guess.
I'm gonna say Giannis 1,
Okay.
Curry 2,
Okay.
Luca 3,
All
Embiid,
right.
Jokic.
Jokic 5 and Embiid 4.
Yeah.
All right. Really close,
Oh,
but you had some things off. So first of all, your number 2 was way off. Okay, so at 5 is Curry. Going into next season, he's the
Oh, okay,
oldest player.
okay,
He's the oldest player in this
okay.
top 5.
Yeah,
Do you think
I see it.
the chances that he gets better is so low? The chances that all these other players gets better, like, is
It's high.
almost
Okay.
guaranteed.
All right, Curry at 5. I got
And
that.
yes, he was amazing in the playoffs, and he will continue to be. But all these other players would be amazing too if once they have more the amount of experience with their team and their system that Curry has. Curry is
Okay.
so molded into the system, and that's part of why he's so good. But now I think that ESPN's betting that these players, now that they have a solid team that they've been playing with, and they have, they're solid with their coaches, that they will be able to smoothly fit into the system the way that Curry does, and they have
All
more
right.
experience now.
Okay.
For Joel Embiid,
Okay. But yeah,
that's fair.
that's fair. That's
He
fair.
was a top 3, top 4 player
Top
next year. I
3.
think there's a chance that number 3, Luka, surpasses him. So number 3 is Luka
Okay.
for next year.
2
Okay,
is
then
Jokic.
2 is Jokic. 1 is
Okay.
Giannis. I think that's
Yeah.
pretty universal. I think if you want to
That's
put Jokic at
fine.
1, you could, but I think Giannis is the universal favorite
Yeah,
just because
yeah.
his dominance is so evident, whereas Jokic's dominance is more subtle. You know what I'm saying? They're both very dominant.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think
This
both these
keep
teams have a
going.
really high chance. I think both these players have a high chance of leading their teams to a 1 seed and to considerable playoff success. So I'm
You're
actually
right.
really, this top 5 is the one part of the list I'm actually pretty happy about.
Yeah.
I think 5 Curry, 4 Embiid, 3 Doncic, 2 Jokic, 1 Giannis. I think
I
that's
won't
very good.
complain. I
I won't
won't
complain.
complain.
I think my own list might have tweaked that a bit, but it was essentially those 5 players. I might have been sleeping on Embiid a bit, but I'm not trying to. I'm trying to give him his respect. So I think this is
All
very
right.
fair.
My final conclusion, this list is garbage after I mean some of the placements are okay, but Jimmy Butler at 17 really threw me off. That's my final say. Butler at 17, really ESPN? That's all I gotta say.
I'm saying the top 5 is good. I think a considerable amount of players got disrespected. I think Jimmy got disrespected. Ben Simmons got disrespected. I think
Zion.
Zion, Darius Garland, and Shea to an extent were very underrated on this list. Trey got disrespected a little bit. Russ, I think, is going to be better than they're thinking. I think he low-key deserves the disrespect after that awful season. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, some players. I think even low-key could put Desmond Bane higher because he was at 68. Actually, no, that's fine. But yeah, mostly Jimmy and Ben Simmons. That's just
All right.
sad.
Well, that was episode number 7 after all our reactions. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hit that subscribe button, like it, go follow the TikTok.
I
That's
know.
where
I
we post our
love.
clips.
Thanks for the love, guys. Seeing a lot of followers recently, a lot like a big increase. So thank you guys and keep checking out the TikTok. I'll be posting more there soon.
Yes. And ESPN is a fraud.
L.